flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Good evening.
It's been a little while since we've sat around the table, even though it seems like yesterday, right? Busy summer, I guess.
Yes, it has been.
Everybody's out and about again, so time flies, right? Happy sent out an email with some notes in it, in the meetings and the agenda. Did everybody
Can we do a roll call?
have that in front of you?
Okay.
Okay, great.
Mike Fowler?
Here.
And somebody at the front. All right, hang on. Somebody rings the bell, we gotta change it.
So this is what it's like to have power back in here again. Last Thursday night was a show, wasn't it, Susie?
It was interesting.
It's interesting.
Glad we had cell phones.
It was the Flickr show. My friend Flickr.
Yeah.
We had front row seat.
Another satisfied customer. Lawrence Myers, Nicole French, Jack Ketting,
Here.
Dee Patel, Susan Johnson,
Here.
Sarah Menard,
Here.
Dina Kreitler,
Here.
Donna Roush, Kelly Fowler,
Here.
Katie Sue Maheron, and Laura Oliver.
Here.
So I don't believe we have a quorum for the
Not for tourism tax.
commission,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, well, we can still go through
We
stuff.
still go through some things, yeah. Okay. Still go through the approvals and stuff, I guess, happen.
Yeah, let's do that. I don't have one labeled as tourism tax commission minutes. I'll have to look and see if there was something separate, but I think these were a combined group, so we can go ahead and move forward with that.
Okay. Did you approve the agenda, I guess?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Jack, thank you.
Second.
In a second. On to the minutes from May 18th, all the way back in May. Give you a minute on those. And I'll take a motion whenever somebody is ready.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
Just all in favor and opposed?
All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Thank you. Any citizens here today besides us? Guess not, huh? Man.
They're busy.
What's that?
They're busy.
Yeah, yeah. Old business, don't see a whole lot under old business, so happy.
I tried to find some, but it's just, couldn't find it.
New business.
All right, so we'll discuss with both groups on this, and I think it relates to both groups. We need to establish a budget, and I'll move forward with this, and then we can get approval afterwards. But I can put it in the budget for the city. So I've kind of gone over what the Tourism Tax Commission has done in years past, and where they've spent their money. So I was actually taking last year as an example, and figured the budget based on that. What you all spent your money on, and then looked at what we're anticipating our revenues to be, which is about 20,000, and then figuring up a budget based on that to work on some things. But I wanted to include something specific that I thought was important, and actually I've talked with the new tourism director. We've kind of kicked it around as well, so I'll get to that here in a second. So again, we're anticipating 20,000 for our revenue in the coming year for the tourism tax. Budget is, I've got down there as 18.4. We have bought mostly over the last year or so was rack cards, visitors guides, printed materials. I know Toby worked up a lot of it and then would present it to you for review so you could see it. So what I'm trying to do is establish where we want that money to go. If you want it to go somewhere else, we should plan ahead a little bit on that so that we can then allocate money to it. So we've got the Rat Cars Visitors Guide. We have the Christmas event. So we had paid advertising for, I think it was KDHX, for the Christmas event. We've had some requests from festivals such as Jour de Fête and Rural Heritage. Well, I'm sorry, take that back. If we have requests from those, if they want to do some advertising, since those are multiple, well, Jour de Fête's multiple day, Rural Heritage won't be now, but Jour de Fête's multiple day, so you got tourism. Rural Heritage, also a group that could come in and say, let's do something. Deja Vu Spirit Reunion, we'll talk about that. I mean, you've got these other groups that could come in and say, we want to do a little extra advertising. Can you help sponsor that, or would you mind helping us with that and getting that word out? And where do you want to, where would we want to put it? In Facebook, radio, TV, whatever. Magazines and newspapers, how about some print media? I mean, again, especially if we're wanting to advertise people coming in for a weekend. That may be what you want to focus on, is that we put that out there in the Webster Kirkwood Times or Missouri Life or other magazines, newspapers, bring people in for a weekend, girls weekend out, couples weekend, come down and play golf, come down and enjoy the wineries. We get that word out. We would come back to you with some ideas on how we want to propose, or how we propose to do that, and show you what those ads would look like, some rough sketches, and then work towards getting those in. And then our website, and this was in discussion with Jeff Wicks, who's going to be our new tourism director. One of the problems with our website is that there's not a call to action. Yeah, the issue is that you get on the website and you see everything, and you're done. What he's proposing, and what we've had board members also say, and you see it if you look at it, it doesn't ask you to do anything. It doesn't get you where you're committing. We want people to get on there and commit. I want to do a weekend. I want to do the golf and the wines, or I want to go to the houses, and here's how I get in touch with them, and I want to commit to doing that.
Makes sense.
And our website is currently from a group out of St. Louis, and not very responsive to when we ask to have things done. So we need to have more control over it, and we want to do that internally. So one of the proposals that I have for this group is that we make that part of what tourism tax is for, is a website, because it will enhance our tourism and help get that final buyer. So that is your total of $18,400. I can break that up in any amounts that you want. You can scratch anything off that you don't like.
Did you break down this, were these, I see here yearly proposed, so were the rat cards, for instance, the 2,500, something that has been that for the past couple of years, or?
Yep.
And then the 1,000, the Christmas events? So,
Yeah, and the 1,000 for the printing on the visitor's guide was kind of new, but we had done stuff like that. Rat cards, yeah, the same kind of thing.
mm-hmm.
Did we ever get new visitor guides? Because I know that was in the works when Toby was leaving.
So we've had them out, yeah. Have you ever not seen it?
The magazine type? Or
No,
the-
magazine type we have not done. I mean, when Toby left, that was put on the
Okay,
back
okay.
row. What we've had is the fold-out ones.
Okay,
Right, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and then we've taken pieces of that, like the maps, and just printed off
Mhm.
the map, and then on the flip side, we'll update what the businesses are.
Mhm.
Yeah, the magazine part, I'm letting Toby get a little settled in his job before we start getting into, and somebody else in there to start putting that information together.
Okay.
So Abby, on the proposed website, that $10,000, is that something that Jeff has already looked into and he's already contacted some, it's just a rough number?
Yeah.
Okay. Does he have an idea of who he's wanting to do?
We would have to go out for qualifications-based
For
request,
PRP.
and then see, or have to do a proposal and see what the bottom line is. And websites can range anywhere from 5,000 to 25,000.
Yeah, I know.
Excuse me, would this be, I understand that's, is there any kind of matching funds from city funds or anything else that would be specifically for the website?
Nothing specific that I've allocated at this point, because everything that we've got tied up in marketing with the state grant. It has to be for that type of marketing, and we've already allocated that. We are going to look at maybe, Toby did say there might be what's called an MPD fund, or MPD grant from the Division of Tourism that we'll look into and see if we can apply for that and maybe get that as matching funds for it. But I need money from us to commit so that I can then put that in for the state match.
Right.
Refresh my memory on the various sites. So we have the, what is it? Is it still visitstgen.org?
You got .com, .net, .org.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Visit St. Gen, okay.
Yeah.
What is the cities then? Is the cities, is it a separate one, or is it the
stgenevieve.org.
Yeah.
stgen.org, completely different from the Visit St. Gen.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that one needs a full rehaul, but that's separate, and that's general fund money that would pay for that.
Mhm.
Yep.
Just curious if you've, have you bounced any ideas off the county for the visitors website?
No, not yet.
I think that would be, I think we need to, I like the idea. First of all, I like the idea. I think the dollars are appropriate. But I really don't know that, I think more bang for the buck, and I guess what I'm getting at there is I don't necessarily think it should, commission dollars. I think it would benefit the entire community, including the wineries and everything else. So I would really like to see the county, kind of go in a joint effort maybe on that side. Have they done some of that in the past?
I think they would probably do that too. I think if they see that we're making the initiative to put money into it, I think they would do the same thing. I don't know if they would match it, but they would probably.
Do you remember, Dina or Happy, do you remember where those funds came from for the existing site? I remember when it was developed.
So 10 or 12 years ago, when we did the branding, it was a collaboration between the city, the chamber, the county, and tourism.
I remember that.
And then I think when Sandra was here, she redid her part of the tourism site, and then we gave the county back theirs. The city had always had control of theirs, and then Sandra took full control of tourism, and then the chamber did just chamber. And so we did a revamp the same year she did her revamp, which was only 3-4 years ago. Because she used a different company than what we used. We used Element 74 out of Cape Girardeau.
Yeah.
And who's making modifications to it now?
Guy's name was Greg Rosenboom. I can't remember what's coming.
It's a contract that we currently have.
Yeah.
Is that an annual renewable?
Yep.
I think it's a great idea to put the money into the website. What I would probably suggest is that when you look at your RFP, you're looking at someone who has done tourism sites, who's done some form of marketing because that's what we did with the chamber. We went with a company that was notorious for city, municipality websites and also chamber websites, so that was kind of their forte. And if you just anybody can throw a website together, and if they're specializing in tourism, then you're going to get a better experience, I feel like.
Well, they can offer the modules that you need to do the things that you want to do. If you want people to be able to compile a weekend together.
Well, and the call to action is a huge thing, because that should definitely be the first thing on a tourism site.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want them to leave that site without either booking or clicking on, you know what I mean?
Right, and to have that type of interactive and very robust site, it's going to cost some money. So again, I'm all for it. I would love to see a little bit more of an effort between city, county, tax commission, whatever the case may be, and really put our heads and dollars together and try to get something robust.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's a county-wide tourism. It's not just the city. I mean, we're promoting the entire county.
Yeah, sure. And that might be something you, Susie, can take back to. Some thoughts on where that would come from, if there was anything, I don't know, in the marketing budget or not. I don't know if it's all already accounted for, but.
And we had help from the county on that group of visitors guides that we came up with. I think they pitched in $1,000. So it shows the county is willing to listen and participate.
Yeah.
And they've participated in a larger amount than that too in past when Sandra was the director. I think they gave her like $5,000.
Well, that was economic development. I believe.
Well, there was that too. It was twofold because the funds came through IDC and then, yeah, it was kind of twofold. It was tourism and IDC or EDD or EDC.
Anyway.
There's somebody in the waiting room.
Oh, thank you. Okay. And also, I've got an expense history report, which kind of is where I got the numbers from on the printing. That's what's on that GL expense history report. So the last year, as it shows there, we did not spend up the 17,000 on the budget. So we'll have a little left in the kitty as well as a reserve.
So what primarily what went down, or in your proposal here, what, where did we make up some of the dollars for the website and such? I mean, do you have a breakdown of where those dollars are coming from, as far as from the past, what they were spent on, the 17?
That was the year that I pulled the information from. So it was those three items that we have spent money on the last couple of years that I've been here.
The first three.
The first three.
Yeah.
And the last three was a proposed idea if you want us to do any extra advertising, if you have other, kind of spark an idea of where do you want this money to go. And we need to do this process sooner, but it's, hello summertime. And July was not going to work out with getting enough people at a meeting, so, but if you want to have more input as to what we plan on for the next year, that's when we need to start thinking about it. So we can get it done for my purposes, so I can have it, in my case, Thursdays, our big budget meeting. So I've got to be able to give the board something to say, here's where we're going. Where do you want to take it?
Yeah.
Get some final decisions so we can pass it in September.
Any thoughts, other inputs on the breakdown of those dollars?
No, I agree. I like the idea of an updated website, and there's only so many dollars to go around. I wish we had more.
Okay.
Be nice to have-
But I think you
be nice to
make
have
a
more
good
dollars.
point, that we can get the county to put in a little bit, then we've got a little bit more to work with,
I think the general breakdown of the categories looks fine.
Yeah.
All right. So what that gives me is, again, I can take 18.4 to the board and say, that's what we're going to spend on tourism. We anticipate 20,000 income. And then we can modify this when we have a quorum on the Tourism Tax Commission, but at least it's, and you might think of something in between now and then, but at least you've got a breakdown. We kind of need a roadmap instead
Right,
of
yeah.
instead of just guessing where we're going.
Right.
And Toby was working on that. That's what he was getting in the habit of asking and following. Because we'll probably be back to reprint the tourism guide at some point, updating. It's always out of date the first moment you print it, but at least you've got we can update what the businesses are. If there's something else we need to add to it, some language we need to change, we can do that. And if we do the magazine, then it could come out of these funds.
Yeah.
Well, and people don't like for me to say this, but I think if it is a magazine format or a bigger format, that businesses or anybody else ought to be able to purchase advertising in it,
So my caution on that is, if we do that, we want to hire a company that puts it together instead of doing it ourselves, because we don't have time to be
Right,
salespeople.
Right.
To go to business and try to, we can do small things, but that's a larger piece. So I would want buy-in from TAC and TTC for something like that, because then you have somebody out there representing us, asking for people to advertise, and I don't want there to be hard feelings or, thoughts of, well, we're not putting in what we should be, people, we have this money, should we also be asking for people to advertise? And we have somebody else that they don't know do it.
right. And there are a lot of people that don't like that idea, don't think it's a good idea, but. And the other thing is that merchants or merchants groups could just, a good faith, here, we'll just give you the money and you spend it however you see fit, you
Yeah.
know? But people don't like that idea. But I kind of feel like, businesses and people that thrive from the tourism industry ought to buck up a little bit for the advertising that's floating around.
Right.
Not necessarily on an individual basis.
I know we got a pallet full of those Missouri travel guides. And I had to take 2 more boxes down the other day, and that's a larger format.
Yeah.
But people buy, they come and want them, they pick them up. So if we have it out there, I think people are gonna pick them up.
Especially in the B&Bs and the lodging, gives
Yes.
them something to look
Yeah.
at, and they can, the ones I've seen had all the restaurants, all the shops, all the wineries and everything in those, which I think we would have to contribute to that.
In that magazine style you're talking about?
Well, the chamber did a visitor guide years ago, and they were very well received. But we also had a company, like you said, doing all of that.
Yeah.
And so we just got a kickback for every ad that was sold that came back to the chamber. But you almost have to have a entity out there doing those sales, because that can be very overwhelming.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the layout, they're going to do the whole design layout. And, you still have control over your content, but, and each advertiser has control over their ad, but they would lay it all out and send it to you for proof and all that stuff.
I remember doing that. It seemed to be a pretty neat product.
Yeah. Yeah, we still, we haven't done it in a couple of years, but we still have those booklets, and the standard information hasn't really changed. The shops, of course, have changed. B&Bs have changed a little bit, but the history part of St. Genevieve hasn't. And a lot of the shops, most of them, the ones that have been long-standing, haven't. So we use it occasionally if we have to. But honestly, when people come into the chamber office, that's the first thing they grab on our brochure, on our rack, is that visitor guide, even though it's 5 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Any talk recently to update it? Not really.
I have too many irons in the fire to think about it, really. I haven't really given it much thought, but
Okay.
it probably would be something that we would take part in if the city or the tourism industry did it. We'd probably do something with them, I would think.
There we go, a commitment from the chamber to buck up.
Well, a commitment from Dina. As a chamber director, I would like to see us take part in it, because we have just as much skin in the game as the city and the county, you know what I mean?
Collaboration's always a good idea.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. Shows unity, Sarah.
The only thing I'm looking at is on the breakdown here, and you kind of got into some specifics on the printing. For instance, you gave us the price on the rack card versus visitor's guide. The print, laid down the list a little bit further, print media, magazines, newspapers, radio. The Christmas event is just an example of that, of radio, I guess, right?
Well, that's the
Type
only
of
thing that we've
advertising.
advertised
That's- yeah.
on the radio.
Is it?
I think that's the only thing we use the radio
Really?
for, was the Christmas event.
Through the marketing wing of the city, so to speak, through our tourism department, we've been on radio. But this group hasn't bought anything outside of that.
Who did the Jurafet committee? Who did the TV spots for Jurafet? Do you know? Anybody know? Do anybody see them?
Yeah. Nice.
I saw one during the 5 o'clock evening news or whatever, and channel, I don't know, one of the major stations. I didn't know who did it. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Probably their board, I would think.
I'm on board, yeah. Print, rack cards, visitor guides, new radio spots. Okay. Festival/events for that 2,000, that's what we were talking about, the idea about if we had anybody that came and wanted to more or less solicit funds, is that right?
Right.
That's what you're talking about with the
Festivals. Yeah.
festivals, events? Mhm.
Yeah, they wanted to say, can you help us with some of
Sure.
our advertising?
Yeah.
That's something we can do.
Happy on the rack cards, how many do we print yearly? Do you know?
No, not offhand.
Okay.
Okay.
I know we're into the thousands because we have multiple locations that we approve.
Anybody else have any other input on that? I think it's a nice start, breakdown. Is it something we can't really
Can't really vote
prove
on.
anything,
Right.
but
Right.
yeah, it's a nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I was looking for, some input.
On the right track, I believe, with it.
Yep. Okay, new tourism director will be starting September 7th, so it's after the holiday. They have not been in town yet that I know of, doesn't mean he didn't sneak in and sneak out, but they're looking for a place to stay, an apartment or someplace temporarily, and then try to find a house in the area. So we'll know more later on, or if he does come through. I suspect the first week or two is going to be really busy. Gentleman's name is Jeffrey Wicks. He's been involved in radio in Cape Girardeau, St. Louis, Nashville, now New Mexico. Has his own little business that he runs out of his house with his wife, and they do online type stuff. So they understand the graphic design, websites, Facebook. Our committee asked a number of questions that related to the online part of it to make sure that we have somebody that understands how that works. Because that was one of the things that Toby really did do a good job on, was kind of getting us into that and understood the algorithms and how it broke down and how we got the message out. And we're still following that. We're still doing Facebook and Google, still following the same patterns that he had. So I think Jeff's going to be a good addition to the city, and it's going to be busy.
Well, and it's easy to see, I guess, where if he's got a home-based business or whatever that he's operating at, it's easy for him to look at that website and say, hey, wait a minute, there's nothing you can do on that.
Right.
I mean, you can get information here, but you can't do anything. You can't. There's no call to action.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, that's his first observation.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that with our discussions, is that he was giving me some ideas and some input. Our other candidates that I talked to did not have anything to offer. And it was, I'm sorry, one other did, but it wasn't that much. I mean, he had some stuff to offer, and I think the committee saw that and felt it good and important that we bring him in. So he's agreed to do that.
He responded to a Facebook discussion about Sugar Fed.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
because the question someone had asked, is it true that this was the last year of Sugar Fed? Is it not going to ever exist anymore? And he responded, and it was real, I don't recall now exactly what he said, but it was a real professional response that, I'm the new director of tourism, and, I certainly hope to be able to facilitate, blah, blah,
Yeah.
So, it was a response to that particular question.
Okay.
So he's he's watching us from wherever he is.
He's in Hardinsburg, Kentucky. So he's moving like 8 hours, 7.5, 8 hours away. Yeah, outside of Owensboro.
His office will be where?
City Hall.
City Hall.
At this point, he's homeless, and we have a desk at City Hall because there's just not. And it may be when he gets there, it won't be that bad, but there's no space at the Welcome Center right now because there's so many people with the Park Service. I mean, they've been hustling and bustling all summer because they've got temps and people that were working on their websites, and it's been crazy down there. So if things have settled down, we can send him down there if he wants. But give him a laptop and a cell phone, we can put him anywhere.
Okay. Good.
Yep. Let me see.
You gonna cover events and activities also, since
Yeah.
you're on a roll?
Let me do, yes, let's do that. So coming up, and I think you're all aware of most of this stuff, Night of the Werewolf, I'll do some of the big stuff. Night of the Werewolf, that'll be at French Colonial America, that's October 16th. World Heritage Day is going to happen, it's going to be the one-day event. It will not be like past World Heritage Days, because there's not the same group to put it together, but there's a tourism leadership group that's organizing this, and it'll be wrapped around the different houses, the different historic sites. So the idea is to try to get them from Amro up to French Colonial, which has the Bolduc House, thank you, and then try to work our way to Felix Valley, and then all the way up to Guibourg House, and try to have things in between.
I think the idea is there will be like demonstrations
Yeah.
at all of those locations.
Yeah.
And there cannot be the agricultural stuff. There won't be any teams of horses plowing, but.
Yeah, so
What's that date?
that will be 23rd, October 23rd. So that'll be Saturday, and then Saturday night is Deja Vu. And then November 6th is Pecanapalooza, and French Colonial's putting that on as well. Cookie Crumb Trails on November 13th, and then we start getting into Christmas activities. So we should have meetings before then. We can go over those.
Is Cookie Crumb being done by the downtown group, or is it?
Yeah, they've been ordered. They're loosely organized still. They're not trying to be a downtown Missouri Main Street type group, but they're trying to help the merchants.
Well, they lost that affiliation
Right.
with Main
So it's just
Street.
a merchants group
Right,
right now.
right.
But they've got new leadership, right? I heard that they kind of revamped that whole board.
I'm not sure where that is.
That's what I heard today at my board meeting, so.
Okay.
That's why I asked.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah, they're just trying to do more promotional type stuff. Um,
What was the Night of the Werewolf date again?
That is going to be
16th?
October 16th.
October 16th.
Anybody have any information on that, or what that's gonna entail? What is that?
Well, I don't have a flyer or anything with me, but it's on their Facebook page. But this is an event they've been doing for several years. So they actually have a really good following for that. It's kind of creepy, but you know what I mean? But it's a great event. They do a good job with it.
Cool, good, you check that out.
It's a family event. They start off in the museum, work their way over to the houses. They've got games and
Yeah.
tomahawk throwing.
Right,
Tried that
right.
last year. Mine kept bouncing off. I couldn't get the thing
Yeah,
to stick.
activities in their yards.
Right.
Yeah.
By like,
Colonial.
I don't want to say candlelight, but you buy, I don't know, it's like torches or something
Yeah.
that it lights it up. And
Yeah.
it's really neat. It's pretty
Wolf.
cool.
There's a werewolf running around, militia
Yeah.
running after him,
Right.
shooting guns. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good event.
Good.
Any other questions on those?
I don't think so. Some neat events coming up. Speaking of events and festivals, it looked like we had a very, what's the word on the street? Very successful Jour de Fête.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
I've heard good
so.
things. Yeah.
And I will give props to the city and everybody else that it is probably the only festival that, you know, by noon the next day, it is cleaned up and
Yeah.
gone. You can't, I mean,
Yeah.
it is gone.
Yeah.
And the streets are clean, and just as an example, when, this was years ago, but when the VP Fair was huge in downtown St. Louis on the 4th of July, 2 weeks later, there was still trash all over the riverfront, full trash cans and stands half taken down. And that doesn't happen in St. Genevieve.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I think for the, you know, I think the downtown area looked great before and like you said, right after, and merchants really appreciate, well, and citizens, you know, people that live downtown, and everybody does, they really appreciate how responsive the city is on those things.
A lot of that goes to the committee and organizing it, and I think, you know, everybody was worried that there weren't going to be enough vendors. Well, the weather turned nice that week, so people started signing up at the last minute. But you had the right amount of vendors, so people weren't crowded, you can walk through and buy the booths and make it around comfortably without, worrying about being too close to somebody else. Worried about, because we see an increase in COVID cases again. I think that kept people from being scared off.
Yeah, probably so.
The vendors with whom I spoke were real pleased. They had sold a lot of their product, whatever they had.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, a couple other things. Tourism report, you can see where the welcome center visitors, June, 2,397. Before that, we had another 2,300 in May. Went down a little bit in July at 2,128. For August, we're at 1,464. The big things, 173 people came in to look at the photo exhibit. That was the touring bicentennial exhibit that was down there. And then we had 736 people use the Welcome Center over Jour de Fête. Google ads, we had 1,482 impressions, so it's out there. 62 people looked at it in particular, and then 11 people clicked through. So we're getting a little action on that. So for the fall for the fall advertising, we're into the grant from Missouri Department of Division of Tourism. We have a $70,000 grant. Our match is $23,333. And we're pulling that, we normally spend about $32,000 a year, so we're pulling that from our marketing on the general fund, just dedicating it to that, but we don't want to lose $70,000.
Right.
So, as you can see, this is where we've decided, and Toby did this ahead of time, thank goodness, when we did the grant. So it's all laid out. So when Happy gets a phone call, he can check and make sure these are the right people that he's talking to and know what we're doing. So we've got the Webster Crookwood Times, we've got Destination 618 Magazine. He and I had talked about trying to spread the TV advertising out to get people out of the markets that we've been in so far, which is Southern Illinois and St. Louis, up to Decatur, Illinois. We figured that was within a good distance. Columbia, Missouri would be a good distance to advertise and get people here. Missouri Life Magazine, we're going to do KMOX, KEZK. We think that's our target audience. WRVR in Memphis, that's within that range that we can advertise. We're going to do some outdoor billboards with Robinson, and then a quarter of that 70,000 is going to go towards Facebook advertising. So Madden, who's been doing our advertising, their state contractor, they're going to continue to do it, and they've been doing that for much of the time, the whole time I've been here. And if you want to see what the Facebook advertisements look like, that's that picture that's on the next page that talks about the St. Genevieve First Proof. So we try to change up the pictures. We've got a stash of about 16 pictures at this point. And we'll just have to keep adding on to that, change up the words a little bit, highlight certain things. We'll push more of coming for the wineries and the shops and the restaurants as opposed to the water park at this point of the year. Mm-hmm. But that's, those are the things that we'll keep doing. And they're the ones that establish however they get that word out to those that are on Facebook.
Good.
And I have a TV advertisement if you'd like to see it. This is not completed and has not been approved yet by the state of Missouri, but
St. Genevieve, Missouri, located halfway between St. Louis and Cape Girardeau off Interstate 55. Starting with St. Genevieve National Historical Park, one of the newest sites in the National Park system. In addition, St. Genevieve has a new museum learning center, a state-of-the-art water park, historic attractions, several wineries, charming shops, local restaurants, and much more. Check out our website for more information and updates on this year's events. St. Genevieve, where history is just the beginning.
So this one would play up in Decatur. That's what it's
Yeah.
positioned for. So the TV stations put those together for you.
It's nice, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, How did it, is there, on the ending of those type of quick blurb ads like that, I don't know if it's something, I'm not an advertised guy, but, having the website, end with the website, with the URL of the website.
It's there.
It did.
Is that what it did? Sitting here going, that's what they should do, so it did.
So what we have to do is we put our own logo on there, and then we have to put on the state logo. That's part of what the
Right, I
matching
remember
funds.
that, yeah.
And then below that says visit stgen.com.
Below that, okay.
And it's clickable.
I was too busy looking at everything else, yeah, okay. Cool, good, good. And then what about this?
And that's another one, that's the Destination 618.
Okay,
So I just wanted to give you a little feel for what we're putting out there.
It's good.
Makes me want to visit the town.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's a cool place, I'm gonna go there.
Let me just say that my skills with editable PDFs,
Have improved?
no.
very good, Happy, thank you for the updates. Some good stuff there. When is your, so you're planning on kind of using the breakdown of what we talked about to kind of pass along to the
Board of Aldermen.
To the board?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're going to look at it from, what is the total? And again, that can be massaged by tourism tax.
Sure,
Because
yeah.
they'll approve the total amount. They really don't approve the individual
Sure,
items.
yeah.
Because that's up to you guys.
Yeah, right, right. Okay, good. Any more thoughts on that? Okay. Anything else that anyone has on their mind or would like to bring up?
I was disappointed that Kimmswick now has a new dock and they're getting all the boat traffic.
Well,
Darn Kimmswick.
I'll tell you, it's tough to be, in my opinion, it's tough to be the oldest settlement in the Missouri, on the Mississippi and not have something. And all of our forefathers and mothers have talked about it and wanted it, and I know my dad, for instance, who's been involved for years and years, he to this day, he says that we need something like that. That we have to figure out some way, somehow, to get boat traffic into this town.
We are literally missing the boat.
We are missing the boat. And I know that's a big hurdle, but I hope that our community and our board and our committees and our citizens do whatever they can to think about that. I just think it would be phenomenal.
It would.
It really would. And I know I know we had something down there, on a private scale before at the marina, but some way, somehow, we have, people say, oh, then you got to dredge it, and you got to do this, and you got to do that. I mean, look what we did in '93 with the flood,
Yeah,
folks.
right, yeah,
We
yeah.
have the technology and the drive in this community has proven it over and over, and we've got to kind of keep beating that drum. But you hit the nail on the head, Sarah, when it comes to Kimmswick or other areas that bring in a boat. Yeah. Okay. Motion to adjourn if anybody doesn't have anything else.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Do we need an all in favor for that?
I think they're ready to leave.